Hello everyone, and welcome to my demonstration speech. I'm going to be demonstrating on how to change guitar strings. Now most of us know that guitar strings tend to get old and brittle and they don't sound as good as they used to and start behaving badly. And what I mean by that is it starts losing its bright, crisp sound and kind of loses tone, and it starts sounding a little more dead, a dead sound. On my guitar, it's been about a month since I've changed them, which is about normal if you don't play it a lot. If you play it a lot, it's good to change them at least once a week, because you'll have a lot of grease and waxy buildup and dust and the perspiration from your hands, because your hands do sweat when you play guitar quite a bit. Plus, that changes all that grease and the dirt and stuff has a tendency to change the thickness of your strings and actually the length of your strings too, which causes it to need to be tuned more often. So I'm going to start with this guitar. We're going to start at the low E. I start at the low E because usually if you start from the high E and build up, all your strings will start running into this one, and it makes it kind of difficult to get this string back on, especially on an acoustic guitar. Them strings are right up against the tuning head. And what I'll do is I'm gonna use Super Slinkies by Ernie Ball. They're number 9s. I like using number 9s. They're a little lighter, and they have a tendency to have more action to them. Now my brother-in-law, he uses size 11s through 10s, and he plays a lot of rhythm, so it gives him that deep, crisp sound that he likes. The 9s are excellent for a lot of bends, and I do a lot of bends, but right now I'm going to take off 2 strings at a time. You can usually take off all the strings at once, but I like to leave a little tension on my neck, just so I don't warp the fretboard or anything like that. I'm kind of cautious about that. But what we'll do is we'll make sure we go the right way. Counterclockwise is always best. I use this little thing. Some use a little electric drill. It's easier to use an electric drill, but I don't have one. I usually do it by hand. And they'll be all nickel wound. These gauges are nickel wound. The nickel is better for the sound and tone. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to clip off the tips of them like this, and because that'll be easier for the strings to go through the back side of your guitar. And usually you can just run them straight out like that. And if it had that little pigtail on there, it makes it a little more difficult. And they come out real simple and easy. And we're going to be using our 42s, and let's see here. But before we put these nice crisp things on there, I usually wash my hands before I do this. And what I'll do, I've already washed my hands, and my string. And but I usually kind of take a cloth with some guitar polish and kind of clean up the neck a little bit to make it gives it a little more action, gets some of that grease and grime off there. And I usually do it with the old string still on there. That way it's not going to matter. Clean up some of them frets, and that way you won't have that lost my guitar string. But, and what we'll do is we'll feed it through the back. There's little holes in the back where it'll come up, and it'll come up to here. And what we'll do is we'll put a couple of winds on it, like this. I'm not used to doing it this way. I usually do it the other way. And then we'll stick it through the eyelid. And then tighten that up really good. And you can feel that string getting tight. And you want to make sure it sits down in that nut. This is your nut right here. And you want your guitar string to sit firmly down in there. Tighten that up really good. It's already got a real crisp sound to it. And what I like to do is I like to clip these as soon as I put them on. I get them really close to the tuning peg. And this is a size 32 that's going on next. And this is our A string. And it'll go in like so. I usually do it sitting like this, and I can wind them a little better, and then what we'll do is just run it through that eyelid, pull it really good and snug, and tighten it up. I like to make sure it sits down in that nut, so you can see that it'll have a tendency to want to get out of that nut. So you want to make sure it's good and tight down in that. It's already got a really cool sound to it. It all looks good from there. And then I'll clip these, and I'll throw away the part of it. Now on these two strings, we've got a string tree, and they'll be sitting down in it. I'll change this one out with we'll go counterclockwise, and then we'll pull it up out of that string tree right here, unwrap it, and this is that little pigtail. I'll leave that one on and kind of show you the reason why I clipped those off there. Because see, it has a tendency to get caught up in it. It makes it really hard to pull through, but it will. But it's just kind of a little difficult. And we'll go ahead with this next one. It's always good to have a good set of strings on. If you play a lot, a good clean sound makes it good. And what we'll do here, basically do the same thing, run it around, come in through the eyelid. You want to keep your, when you do your wraps, you want to go keep them all pulled down, kind of like threading a needle. And you want to stay on the top of those. Where'd it go? You want to stay on the top of your lines. Pull good and tight. So when you tighten it up, those coils will come up and hit this string here and keep it locked in place. But we want to make sure we keep that. We've got to put it underneath that string tree. What these string trees are for, it holds the strings down in the net. Because if you're playing really hard, making a lot of super bends, it has a tendency to want to jump out of there. And it gives you a kind of a rattle if they're not securely sitting down in there. It kind of gives it a rattle like it's hitting one of the frets. Nice crisp sound. We'll clip that one off really short. And so on with that. But basically, the main reason why we want to keep a good sound is that when we change the strings out, the strings make you sound good. A good crisp sound can always make the guitar player sound good. You can lay your finger across that and feel the difference between them. You don't feel that grime and dirt. It just feels better when they're all clean and nice, and it's just like anything else. A good maintenance on your guitar and the upkeep on it is just like changing the oil in the pickup or the car, or doing anything. You want to make sure you keep maintenance up on all your stuff and take care of your stuff. God has given us gifts, and we need to take care of them as He takes care of us. And I hope you guys really enjoy this, and I would like to thank you for coming in and watching me do this. I appreciate y'all, and God bless.